Well, hey there, this is Dave DuBeau. Welcome to this week's episode of the DuBeau Show. Hope you're doing well. You might notice that I'm kind of in a different surrounding, and that's because we just recently moved houses and moved home offices as well. So I've got a brand new house and a new, new to me house, and a new office. So really enjoying that. Didn't enjoy the move very much, though. That was a big pain in the butt, to be perfectly frank with you. I'm sure you've moved a time or two in your life, but it was an interesting experience. It made me realize how fat and out of shape I am too, because I actually had to chip in and help out with that a little bit. Anyhow, the last few weeks I've really been doing a lot of seminar type stuff. It's been great getting back into attending events and networking and meeting people. So a few weeks ago, I attended an event all about doing joint ventures. And then just this last weekend, I attended a very intensive 3-day, more like a workshop, an implementation workshop, all about doing webinars with a gentleman named Iman Agay. And Iman's a very sharp guy. I'd heard of him from our mutual friend Ben Pritchard over the last couple of years, but I never met Iman before. So anyhow, this was a good chance to meet him and learn from him as well. He's very good at doing webinars and presentations and that sort of thing. So I do a lot of those. So I thought, hey, you can always get better, that's for sure. So really enjoyed the event. But probably one of the more interesting things was listening to some of his life stories. So Iman is originally from Iran, moved over to Canada not that long ago, I believe it was 2009, didn't speak very much English, and had the goal of becoming a world-class professional speaker, an international professional speaker, which, talk about the odds being stacked against you. You come to a foreign country in a foreign language, and all of his money got held back in Iran, so he is broke. That's a lot of obstacles to overcome. Anyhow, he did. He is now definitely a professional speaker. He's done well over 1,000, probably close to 2,000 presentations. Very successful, starting from scratch. But the story that I want to share with you today, secondhand from Iman, was the experience he had when he was on his deathbed at age 27 here in Canada. Talk about a scary situation. So bottom line, he got very, very sick and had to get rushed to the hospital, and they didn't know what was wrong with him. And turned out he'd lost basically close to 60% of his blood had been lost into his stomach, I believe, something weird like that. And the doctor said, there's a very good chance you won't make it through the day if we can't figure out what's going on. So that was a huge wake up. And I'm just thinking back to when I was 27. I can't even fathom that experience. So there he was, age 27, thinking he might die. And he had a couple of thoughts that came through his mind, and I thought I'd share these with you and kind of my take on them. First one is, what would I regret if I died today? And there's a book all about this on death and dying and what people regret when they're passing away, that a lady who works in a hospice wrote, and there are 5 big regrets that she saw over and over and over again, and with people who were dying. And the first one was they regretted that they didn't live life true to themselves. They were living their lives for other people. Another regret was that they wish they hadn't worked so hard. They hadn't spent so much time at work, that they'd spent more time with their family and their loved ones. Another regret was that they didn't express their feelings as much as they should have to their loved ones. They didn't let other people know that they loved them. Another regret was that they didn't stay in better touch with friends. That's a big one that I've been guilty of myself as well. And then the biggest one was that they didn't let themselves be happier. So I don't think a man was thinking necessarily about all 5 of those, but those things came to mind when he was lying there in the hospital. He thought, what would I really regret if I died here today? And that's something that got me thinking. I don't want to be on my deathbed contemplating these things. So it got me thinking about that. Well, What would I regret if I got hit by a bus tomorrow and died tomorrow? Next thing he thought is, what did I make of my life? How have I contributed to the world? Have I really given my gift? Have I really gone all out and lived fully to my fullest potential? And then the third thought was, because they gave him a little glimmer of hope that it looked like things might be turning around, was, what would I change if I survived this experience? So if I actually made it through this, what would I change? So I don't know about you, but I haven't had that deathbed experience, but I have had a few close calls. You know that feeling you get when you just come this close to having an accident or something like that? Well, several years ago, I ended up going off the road at 120 kilometers an hour and on the Coquihalla, and miraculously didn't suffer a scratch in my vehicle for some unfathomable reason, wasn't even damaged, which was miraculous. But that was a big wake-up call for me. That wasn't a deathbed experience, but it was a near-death experience, that's for sure. And that shook me up. And that kind of, if you remember that experience, so think back in your own life, where have you come close to losing it all? Like all. No, I'm not talking financially. I'm talking about being dead. Have you had a near miss in a vehicle or an airplane or crossing the street? I think all of us probably have had something like that just kind of made you jump up and pay attention. And then if we apply these questions to that, just get back into that state when you were in that moment and the gratitude you felt for making it through that moment, then apply these questions to it. So what would I regret if I died today? What have I made of my life? And now that I have this second chance, what should I be doing differently? And it's all about our habits. It's all about the crappy, stupid little things that we do that make no difference. It's all about, being stuck on your phone 23/7, maybe giving you a little break for sleeping or something like that, but just having to check every stupid Facebook post, every text, every email, all that stuff that just comes in and floods our experience. Myself, I've been guilty at times of kicking back and just kind of going into a Netflix binge watching of something or Game of Thrones or something like that. What things are there that I do that are just really a complete waste of time, that if I was on my deathbed tomorrow, I go, what the hell was I thinking? Why was I spending time doing that instead of contributing something? All right, well, that's my rant. That's my kind of my preaching for the day, but that was a kind of a good lesson and takeaway that I took away from that workshop. And Iman actually did a phenomenal job of doing a TED Talk exactly on that. So hopefully I'll have the link below this video and you can click on that. It's a short TED Talk, about 15 minutes. I'd highly recommend that you watch it. All right. Hope your summer has wrapped up nicely. Looking out the window here, it's a gorgeous day here in Kamloops, but fall is on the way. It's getting a little nippier. Days are getting shorter. Kids are back at school. Thank goodness. Actually, my daughter Amy's off at school in Barcelona in Spain, so I'm missing her, that's for sure. My son Andy's just gone into grade 11 here in Kamloops. So all the kiddies are back at school, and we're back to work. So have a good one. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.